you a weird question?
Sure.
Do you think somebody could kidnap a kid and keep him underground?
Like a vault.
Underground.
What is wrong with you?
Yeah, just keep him there. In the sewers, for months and months, hurting him or... I don't know. Have you ever heard of something like that?
Hello, all. Welcome back to What's On Tonight, a podcast with elaborate, quirky, and unpredictable conversations about TV, movies, and more. I'm Becky.
And I'm Mandy, and I'm back.
She's back. Mandy's
Yay!
back. All right.
Back again. Okay.
So today we are covering episode 1 of HBO Max's new show, It, Welcome to Derry, titled The Pilot. Please note, I hate Mandy for suggesting this show and that this is a spoiler-filled podcast. So if you haven't watched the episode yet and don't want to be spoiled, just come back and check us out once you finish watching.
Episode 1 was written by Jason Fuchs.
I think it's Fuchs.
I mean, can I say it's... I think it's Fuchs too, but can I say it's
Jason does fuck, so...
Jason Fuchs. All right, Jason Fuchs, and directed by Andy Muschietti.
He is also the one who did the 2017 It movies.
The director?
Yeah.
Oh,
He's
well,
also the
look at
same one
that.
who did that.
Okay.
Yeah. I did my research.
Look at you.
I know, right? Who knew? All right. Well, let's dive in. And Mandy, would you like to share this always lengthy synopsis for us?
I will, and I have so much respect for you for trying to get this batshit crazy episode roller coaster ride in one little synopsis here. You say it's far too long. Honestly, it could have been like
12 pages.
Yes.
Well,
yes.
I give credit to Wikipedia. She and Mandy and I both made a few edits to it, but the majority of this comes from Wikipedia, so I will credit them for putting this together.
Thank God for it, because after that episode ended, I was basically just sitting there going, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
How do you even describe that? But we're gonna try. Okay. In 1962, a boy named Matt Clements gets chased from a movie theater where he snuck in to see The Music Man. He hitches a ride with a family, asking them to take him out of Derry, and the trip becomes increasingly bizarre. Eventually, the woman gives birth to a mutant baby.
Oh, God, I have so much to say about that baby. That mutant baby saved me.
Girl.
From being way, way scared.
Oh, my God, I'm so glad that you had the same reaction to it I did. All right, we'll get to that in a minute. I got to find my way back here. I'm just too
mutant
busy
baby
laughing. Okay.
attacks Matt.
Okay, asking them to take him out of Derry. The trip becomes increasingly bizarre. Eventually, the woman gives birth to a mutant baby who attacks Matt. 4 months later, Major Leroy Hanlon arrives at the Derry military base and is immediately met with racism. Lily Bainbridge, a friend of Matt's, hears him singing a song and sees his bloody fingers rise up out of her bathtub drain and tells this vision to her friends Marge, Teddy Uris, and Phil Malkin, but no one believes her. Teddy then has a horrific vision of a human lampshade screaming at him. Lily, Teddy, and Phil search for information on Matt's disappearance. That takes them to Ronnie Grogan, one of the last people to see Matt alive, who shares that she also has heard children's voices coming from the sewers outside the movie theater, singing the same song as Matt. The group goes to the movies in search of answers. In the movie, they see Matt on screen, who blames them for releasing the mutant baby, which kills everyone except Lily, who is rescued by Ronnie, who had been locked in the movie what would you call it? The box office? The projection room. Meanwhile, Hanlon is ambushed by masked men and is saved by his friend and partner, Polly Russo.
I just thought of this, and I'm going to share, this is TMI moment for all of our listeners. I dated a guy who worked at a movie theater, and we made out in the projection room one night.
Ooh, look at you.
Yeah, it was a good time. I'm not going to lie.
That's funny. One of my notes was that couple that was in the theater at the beginning when Maddie's in there and he snuck in
And the
to
dude
see the music.
sucking on her neck.
Yeah, like, did that happen in the early 60s, right in public?
I feel like it didn't, or it did, but the other person was probably like into it, because I felt like that guy, like Maddie had his pacifier. I feel like that chick's neck was that guy's pacifier, because she did not seem at all into it.
I quite honestly feel like that's pretty realistic if you're with most teenage boys, just all wet tongue
And I'm like, the hickey on her neck, she better be ready to say she burnt her neck with a curling iron when she gets home.
yeah, I mean, that definitely was going to leave a mark. It was pretty gross, honestly.
Yeah.
In an episode filled with disgusting things, that was actually right, like at the top of my list.
That was right there at the top.
Yeah. So we want to do a brief history of it and kind of go back over what the show is based on.
Yeah. So for anyone who doesn't know, I'm assuming everyone listening is fully aware, but this is based off of the OG book, It, by Stephen King. And bear with me as we go through these episodes, because I, in preparation for this, listened to the audiobook of It, which was narrated by Steven Weber. And I got to say, he did a really good job. I'm glad I did, because the part of this that excites me the most is the Hanlon family. And I loved that they were introduced to us in this episode. But this particular version of It, Welcome to Derry, is a prequel to the 2017 movies that I did not watch. So I've seen the original, but I have not seen the 2017 ones. But you have, right?
Yes, and let's clarify that it's not really based on the book. It's great that we have knowledge of the book, because I think that's going to help in a lot of ways with some knowledge of other Stephen King books, because there were other characters in here that tie into the Stephen King universe that aren't necessarily from It, and we'll get into that. But it's really based on the 2017 films, which threw us both off for a minute, because in the 2017 version of It, they moved the timeline up from the early 60s. Like in the book, the original timeline of the Losers Club were early 60s.
Yeah.
Like in this show, but it was a completely different group of kids. It was the Losers Club. In the 2017 films, they decided to move the Losers Club timeline up to the 80s. So the whole thing with the clown is that, or It, whatever you want to call it, is that it is cyclical. The premise is that it is this cosmic evil being that has landed on Earth at some point in the far distant past, and every generation,
27 years, I think.
something like that. Yeah, I think it is 27 years. It starts to prey on kids in this little town of Derry. So in the 2017 version, they moved that up to the 1980s. And then when they flash forward in the second part of that, they are in the more present day 2000s era. So what they have done here is that they are making a prequel, but the prequel is not based on the actual book or the first movie. It's based on the second ones. So this group of kids is not the Losers Club, but they are setting the time frame for the same era that the Losers Club kids would have been being menaced by this clown in the book, if that's not too confusing. And it was for me for a minute. I had to stop and remember. I was like trying to put together, because as we find out, some of these characters are very likely kin to the kids that are in the Losers Club, at least like Teddy Urus.
Yeah,
Yes.
is Stanley.
Yes, he's probably Stan's uncle.
And then Major Hanlon is Mike Hanlon, who is one of the main characters of the Losers Club in the book and in the movies.
His grandfather.
Yeah. So that's where I was excited, because I was so looking for Easter eggs to tie it all together. But yeah, it was confusing until I realized, okay, because when we originally talked about, before the show even came out, and we were talking about discussing this, in between me cussing you out for even making me watch horror, because it's not my thing. We were confused at how is this happening
Yeah.
when it's like it's a prequel, but it's not. So
Because it looked like it was the same era.
yeah, so now we know, and I'm excited. I
Yeah.
gotta say, I really enjoyed most of this episode. I think they did a phenomenal job of bringing the Stephen King genre, the newer, I'm going to call them the newer movies, the horror. But what I loved most about it, and we can get into this when we get into moments, but there was no Pennywise. Pennywise was not seen in this episode. Pennywise was there, but he wasn't seen. And I thought that was brave to leave out the main character, to not show us the main character in
Well, they didn't show the
episode.
clown, but I would debate that we have seen Pennywise.
I think Pennywise was that family in the car. He was all of those people, or he did his little mind trick thing.
Yeah, I think he was influencing them, but I think he's the flying mutant ninja baby.
Do you really?
Yes.
I feel like, okay. I didn't see that. I felt like it was just.
Well, you notice it. So let's just get into the baby. No, you know what? No. Let's go back. Let's start with Maddie. So the very beginning, this kid broke my heart. And I will tell you.
Oh my God, his little black eyes.
Yes. And I didn't want to drag that foofers out of his mouth. That's what we called it. Both my kids, foofer-doos, the pacifier.
She's talking about the pacifier.
Yeah. I did want to slap that thing out of his mouth. That was driving me a little bit nuts.
I wasn't mad because he had two black eyes. And I'm like, you know what? If that makes you feel better, Maddie, you do it.
Honestly, I didn't even notice he had black eyes.
Yes,
I thought he just looked
both.
tired. You know who he looked like? He kept reminding me of was the kid. Did you ever see Meet the Robinsons? I think it's a Pixar film or something about this kid that gets contacted by his son from the future, and he has to go and stop this catastrophe from happening. And he lives in an orphanage, and he ends up being like this genius that makes all these inventions and stuff. But it turns out that the bad guy in the future is his roommate from the orphanage that he keeps up all night long. He was like a perfectly nice kid in the beginning, but he keeps him up all night long doing his inventions and stuff. So the kid always has these big dark circles underneath his eyes. His name was the Goob. That's who Maddie reminded me of.
Never seen it, but thank you so much for that chilling description of something that I now never want to see.
I bet I'm not the only one that thought of that, because he dead up looked like the Goob from Meet the Robinsons. But it was also heartbreaking. Like, just clearly he has a very, very rough life. And there were reasons that he wanted to get out of Derry. There were mentions like when he gets chased out of the theater for obviously like the umpteenth time. Ronnie's dad is trying to protect him, and Ronnie tries to protect him from getting caught by the usher. And they mention, like, about his family. And so you get the feeling that he is being abused at home.
Oh, yeah.
And
that was
that kid was a great actor. Like, his little face, he looked like he had just seen some shit, you know?
Yeah. Another impressive thing I thought with this episode is how you think these kids, you've got your pseudo losers
cast.
Club. You've got your cast. And a lot of these kids were doing such a great job. And then by the end of it, there's only two left standing. I was like, whoa. I mean, I figured once Maddie got in the car with the family that he wasn't long for this world, but taking out the rest of the characters was amazing.
Was crazy. But I want to talk a little bit about the car scene. So he gets in, and to me, that was maybe the scariest part of the whole episode was the buildup.
Yes. After all the weird comments mom and dad is making, and the kid and the liver, like...
Girl, the liver, sniffing her fingers like Mary Catherine Gallagher from Saturday Night Live. Like,
so gross.
Oh, it was disgusting.
Did you notice when they were in the car on the radio, there was a broadcast warning about nuclear testing?
Yes.
And I think that's why the mutant baby was the mutant baby. You know, nuclear testing, causing genetic defects, things like that. I think that's why it was a mutant baby.
I don't agree. I think there's something going on, obviously, and we don't know yet what it is with that military base. But I think that baby was Pennywise.
do too, but I'm saying that's why it came out as a mutant baby.
No, I don't think so.
Because Pennywise plays on fears of townsfolk, kids, especially the kids. And
Yeah.
so if you're listening to this radio broadcast, and obviously nuclear testing, that has to be something that's going on, like you just said, at the
Right.
facility.
Something weird is going on there, obviously.
I think that's why it came out as, because I had, or it could just be me needing to justify why they chose a two-headed mutant baby. But what killed me, Mandy, was the mom holding that thing by its umbilical cord like it was a
swinging
leash.
it around.
I'm like, what is happening right now?
So that's what I was going to say is like, I felt like the lead up, like the first few minutes where it just increasingly becomes more and more unsettled as you realize this is not like a normal nuclear family. Nuclear family, get it?
Yeah, I see what you did there.
But that and this kid who thinks he's finally getting out of this town is like slowly coming to realize that he has made a terrible mistake. That to me was the most unsettling part of this whole episode. But when that baby came out and she started swinging around, I was rolling laughing. Oh my God, that was the funniest shit I've ever seen in my life. I hope they meant it to be funny because there's a lot of humor in this, which I think you're right. That captures the essence of Stephen King. I mean, it is my favorite. I say it's my favorite, but it's hard for me to pick.
Oh, The Stand.
Stand is great, but it's definitely top 2 or 3 for me. And it's not really like the horror of it is not about really. It's not about the clown. It's not about the spider or the aliens. It's not. It's like the way that humans have this evil inside of them, and the clown just manipulates or heightens that. And it's about friendship and childhood and the death of childhood innocence. And so there is a lot of humor in the novel and in every iteration that they've done. So I don't think it's a detraction. I've seen a lot of people online over the last couple of days with the chatter of people being like, what in the hell are they doing? That was ridiculous. That was cheesy. I'm giving them grace. I think it was a deliberate choice, and I feel like they knew that that was going to be a little bit bonkers.
I thought the birth was horrifying.
It was gross.
I literally went straight back to not that the pit.
Yes!
That beautiful scene of this woman giving birth to this beautiful child for this lovely couple. I'm not comparing the two, okay?
Right.
Don't come at me, y'all.
No, that was
But I also was like, HBO loves to show a birth scene.
They sure do.
And they killed it again. They nailed it. I mean, that was gross.
Is it the same company that's doing the alien birth and this beautiful, lovely, natural birth scene that they did? I bet you I had exactly the same thought. But anyway, so the alien thing comes out. It spun around. Here's why I don't think it has anything to do with nuclear testing. If you notice when they get to the theater, it is already almost the size of a man. And every iteration of it, the thing has to be reborn every 27 years. And so whether there was nuclear testing or not there, in some way, Pennywise has to wake up and then grow, and his power grows every generation.
As he feeds off of fear in children.
Yeah, I definitely think there's something weird going on with that, but I think that family was either just a full-on projection. They weren't even a real family. It was just a nightmare that Pennywise came up with to show him being reborn into this timeline, or they were taken hostage by whatever is behind the menace of it.
That's what I am, again, y'all, very heavily influenced by having just finished the book. So when, what's her name?
Bev,
when her dad is influenced by Pennywise and comes after her, that made me think that family was probably a very nice, maybe normal family at some point, but after time, Pennywise has gotten, especially with the kids, because I mean that's what he does.
Yeah.
But man, there are 2 moments, and I thank the writers and directors of this show for giving me that ridiculous 2-headed baby being slung around by the umbilical cord, because this stuff scares me, y'all, and I don't like to watch a lot of horror. So that made me laugh, and that was a much needed
I'm so glad
break.
you laughed. I was wondering about that. I wanted to call you so bad because I was hoping that you weren't like, oh my God, that's scary.
I was a little taken aback at first, like with the birth, but when she had it by the umbilical cord and is laughing, and it's like a little dog, flying dog on a leash, or I don't even know. I was
That's a
like,
good
okay,
description.
thank you for this brief moment. But then the two moments that really got me is I mentioned earlier when he sees before the baby's born, he sees that they're going back to Derry.
And it's the hope.
You just gone. And
Yeah.
then thankfully they don't show his death, but the pacifier just slowly
Yeah.
flowing out the window and landing into the river where so many remnants and memories of children live because it stole their childhood from them.
Yeah. What I thought about was the scene in the book where the gay couple get assaulted
Yeah.
and he ends up in the reservoir. That was what that part made me think of. But then we meet Lily, who is feeling guilty because she had a friendship with Maddie.
But he wanted more.
I kind of felt like there were some lesbian overtones there with her and the other little girl. Like, because a lot of it is about kids that are outsiders. And I don't know if they're going to pursue that or not. But I kind of got with like her and Marge, I kind of felt like they were hinting that she just doesn't really like boys. And she didn't know how to tell him that. And he got his feelings hurt and was embarrassed about that. But then you also meet Teddy, Eurus, and Phil.
Those two rocked my world. Their conversations, I felt was like, okay, they took me and Mandy, de-aged us, turned us into boys, and
Yes.
this is the conversations that we have. I really, really like those two, and I'm very sad
Yeah.
they're gone. I do want to give credit to Claire Stack is the young lady who plays Lily Bainbridge, and both her and Ronnie, and Amanda Christine plays Ronnie. Those two, I hope they stick around because I thought all the kids did a great job.
Me too.
But I really enjoyed, and little Susie.
I thought she was a real standout. I know we already mentioned it, but I want to point out, so like Teddy and Phil are feeling guilty because they didn't dislike Maddie, but he obviously was an outsider, and they feel guilty because apparently they were bribed by Candy to go to his birthday
party. And they didn't they bail or something, or they didn't
bailed,
even go?
But I would have totally fallen for that if somebody gave me a sack of candy. At any rate, Teddy is very likely kin to Stan Uris. It sounds like Stan, who is in a losers club, that the brother that came in once he saw the lampshade and was screaming, that's probably Stan's father.
Yeah.
And that's going to end up being his nephew later on. Phil reminded me so much of Richie Tozier.
Yeah.
Just the way that he was a motor mouth and just constantly talking and very animated and very kind of funny. His obsession with boobs was hilarious. Like the way that he just like literally everywhere he went, all he was focused on was boobs.
Why are bras so pointy?
Why were they so pointy back then?
I don't know, but this I had to pause once because I got really confused because I watched recently the Netflix's Ed Gein monster story. In that, spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen it, they took a lot of liberties in his story. And one of them is now the lampshade being made out of the skin of Jewish people was real. There was someone who was doing that. That
absolutely happened. It wasn't just lampshades. There were several things.
Lots of stuff.
Yes.
But they took that and made a character in the Ed Gein story or whatever. And he fixated on this woman and what she was doing, and that was part of what launched him to want to do what he did.
Well,
yeah. There you go.
Historically, that woman was one of the people that did engage in that court. She was real. Whether or not Ed Gein had an obsession with her, I don't remember. Yeah, okay.
I had to go deep dive and figure out, okay, what if this is true and what if this is not? Because some of it I was like, this can't be normal. Yeah. I mean, not that any of that was normal, but I digress. For those of you, again, spoiler alert, Ed Gein had a thing with wearing women's underwear, and it was set around the same time. And all of those, it was when the two of the girls in the story have a discussion about how the bras are pointy now to give you, it was shape. It was all about giving that kind of shape.
Why did they want you to look like your boobs were pointy?
Well, we still have it. It's just round padding now.
Yeah, but that looks more normal, like a bosom. Nobody's bosom looks like
That's true.
like parking cones.
Maybe back in the day, that was the dream of the men out there, is they wanted chicks to have pointy titties, and they made pointy bras. I don't know, but it led to a phenomenal conversation.
1959 came around and they were like, "What if your titties were pointy?"
Right.
No,
they didn't even ask the women. They just were like sitting around their boardroom table. Like,
your titties are pointy now.
I'd like to see my wife's titties point more. So let's make this bra.
You know what turns me on is parking cones. Let's go and throw those bad Oscars on your boobies. Anyway, I love the relationship, like we were talking about, between those two boys. They are feeling guilty about Maddie and kind of briefly discussing if they should try to look into it. Phil is kind of like, we should just leave it alone. And then when Lily tries to tell Marge, but Marge is worried about not looking cool. And here we need to stop for a second, because we need to acknowledge that Lily's daddy got killed at a pickle factory.
In a machine.
In a machine at a pickle factory. That too made me laugh.
That made me sad, because didn't she get institutionalized for a while, and that's why they consider her crazy?
Yes, but the man got killed in a pickle machine. I'm sorry, I'm gonna laugh about that. I'm gonna laugh about the dude getting killed by the pickle machine.
Well,
I thought that was
like
hilarious.
Pickles a whole lot. So
I hate pickles.
I thought it was.
It's a terrible way to go.
It's a terrible way to go.
You know how pissed I would be if I got killed by a pickle machine?
But it made me sad when the kids making the jokes, putting the pickles in her locker.
It was terrible. Yeah.
And I just hate bullies.
I hate bullies too. I just thought it was a fun choice to make it a pickle.
It was.
And it got pulled in. But anyway, so she's being bullied too. She's trying to hold on to any social status that she's got left, but everybody's calling her crazy because she did get institutionalized for a minute after her father got killed in the pickle factory disaster. But here she's feeling guilty about Maddie too, and then she gets home, she sees the fingers coming up, she hears him singing that crazy "We Got Trouble" song from the Music Man, which, by the way, I've never seen the Music Man. I've heard of that song before, but mainly I know it because of one of my favorite episodes of The Simpsons, the monorail episode. It's kind of based on the Music Man. If you like The Simpsons out there, go back and watch the monorail episode. It was pretty funny. But she hears him singing, and she knows that she's already feeling guilty that she didn't do anything. So now she's like, is he alive down there somewhere? Which seems really stupid, but they're kids. And
she witnessed her dad.
Right.
She's seen some shit. It was not far-fetched for me to believe. And also coming from the woman who is afraid to watch a lot of horror movies because she's worried her mind is susceptible to the evil creeping in and making me crazy. If you crawled through my bathtub drain hole one night, I might be like calling you to be like, are you okay?
Well, I meant more like the fact that she's legitimately just like, maybe he's alive down there. Like, it's not even the supernatural. You would be like, oh, is Mandy dead in some weird satanic ritual and now her spirit has come back and is climbing through the drain? This kid like thinks that Maddie might be alive in the drains down there somewhere, which totally makes sense because she's a kid.
Yeah.
And like you said, and then not even like a modern kid that might be more skeptical about something like that. I bought that she might believe that. But the boys, she goes to the boys and she tells them, you know, this is what happened. I thought you were his friends too. And initially they don't believe her.
And then the lampshade starts talking to him.
The lampshade happens. And Teddy, who we need to mention, is Jewish.
Yes.
And
he's Jewish.
And he tried to tell his father that he was concerned about Maddie feeling like he should have listened, even though he told her that's crazy, that maybe he should have listened to Lily. And the father is like, you need to worry about the real monsters in the world. You know, we're Jewish people. this is what happened to some of our ancestors, not ancestors, but some of our relatives not too long ago, that there is evil in the world, but it's man-made. And so then that's what it uses to get to Teddy, is this horrible imagery of lampshades made out of human faces, and he sees Maddie's face in the lampshade. So now Phil believes him because Teddy never lies about anything, has no imagination, according to Phil. So they finally believe her and they get together. And like you said earlier, it's almost like you think they're forming this pseudo losers club. And this is going to be the cast. They bring the sister in, the little girl, which, let's stop here. She was adorable.
Oh
and
my gosh, precious
she is
baby.
the real sister of the kid that plays Phil. That's his real.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, that's his real little sister. She was very good. I liked her. Like, you could tell she had a little bit of a crush on Teddy.
Yes.
She's like, look how great I can do my cursive, and it's terrible.
Oh, it was awful.
It just looks, and they tell her to go find a bucket full of muffins.
Yeah.
Which I want to read a bucket full of muffins now.
He's like, she'll never find it. But she was like, bet I'm taking this challenge.
She was on it. She was probably the saddest. So they go to they find out that he was last seen at the theater. They find the newspaper article that says that the last place he was at this theater. They find Ronnie. Ronnie tells him initially, get the hell out of here. Do you know how much trouble this has caused for my dad? But when they tell her the song that he was singing, she's like, I've heard that shit too. That was the song that was in the Music Man the night that he was there. So they decide to go to the theater. They're going to watch it.
Hold on. Before we could dive into the movie, I want to talk a little bit about Ronnie and her dad in the theater.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that I thought that stood out to me listening to the audiobook, when I watched the original 80s just a few years ago, because it took me that long to brave myself to do it, I was so focused on the horror aspect of it, I missed all of the undertones. So listening to the book made me realize, like you mentioned earlier on when we started talking about the episode, how the story itself, yes, it's there's evil, there's horror, there's a clown, there's a spider, there's all kinds of stuff. But this story is really about, like you said, childhood, innocence, the loss of that innocence. But it also covers a lot about not fitting in to society's norms, be it mentally, religiously, racially. It covers all of that. And I think Ronnie and her dad, like, her saying this is going to cause a lot of trouble for my dad, is just amping up the racial disparities that were going on at that time.
And I think that's going to be, what I'm getting from what we've seen so far is that's going to be a very, very important part of the plot going forward, which I am thrilled about. To wrap up, so what happened in the movie theater? They get there, they see Maddie, he's on the screen. Suddenly he's in the movie. It was so sad.
No, it was scary when he morphed.
Oh yeah, when he started to look like Pennywise.
That freaked me out. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
I was like, nope.
Yeah, no, that was creepy. But before that, when he just looked so sad and lost, and they start, telling him, come on out of the screen, which at this point, the moment that I see my friend is now part of the movie, I'm going to bail. This is the one part where I was like, I don't care how old you are or what era this is. I'd have been like, oh no, that's messed up and that can't be real. So I'm going to go ahead and go now, not have a conversation with him. You're on your own now, Maddie. You done got sucked in the movie. But they don't. And so the Maddie on screen, who is really Pennywise, tells them that it's their fault that he got taken and that they abandoned him, etc. He's got some of his hands. He opens it. The baby flies out and then just slaughters those kids.
Dude.
Poor Phil.
Oh, when, of course, Ronnie gets trapped up top.
Yeah.
And I loved that imagery of the film burning up.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was so, they did a really great job with set design and lighting and all of it was just really.
Setting mood. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But when Ronnie saves Lily after everyone is horrifically torn apart.
Except for her, Lily, yeah.
And she's
that little Susie
ending with that on her Lily's face with that horrifying scream, and then it pans down and you see Susie's hand.
Yes.
Is still in her hand. I was like, Oh.
Oh, girl, no.
Mm.
So
Mm-mm-mm.
I think that there were a lot of fun moments. There was a lot of horror, but I think, like you said, one of the things that I think that people are not giving enough chance for, like I said, I read some of the reviews or just comments and stuff, and people are like, this is ridiculous. I don't know that they see where they're going with this. And I am ready to see where they're going with this, because one of the things that I've always loved about it and why it's always been one of my favorites is because when you really get to the core of the story, it is about how vulnerable you are in our society if you are any kind of an outsider,
Mm-hmm.
and how dangerous that can be, and how quickly violence and evil can be done to you and then just shoved under the rug. So, one of the things that I like that about this is that it does seem to me what is going to be a larger and larger focus as each episode goes on is about how this monster has used that evil inside of humans to repeatedly cause these cycles of violence. He's not even, they're the instruments, and he's just
Yep.
using something that's already sick in that society. One of the things that bugged me about the original and the remake is how few people of color there were in either one of those stories. And I love that they are going to expand that universe with the Hanlon family.
I'd like to talk a little bit about
Yeah, let's get to
him.
that. That's because I think
that
now
was
that
my
we've kind of
favorite
gone through
part.
the kids, I think that we need to get into that whole other side. I don't want to leave that out.
So Leroy Hanlon, who for book readers or listeners, we now know is Mike Hanlon's grandfather, who is very important in the book and the all of the movies. But he's a black, I guess he's a major.
He's major.
Yeah, major. And this is a lot of this. I think a lot of these future episodes are going to be focused. He's going to be the central focus, because later on we're going to meet his wife, his son, who ends up being Mike's dad. But he moves to Derry with I liked his friend, Polly.
Polly.
And
yeah.
then he's a pilot in an experimental new line of B-52 bombers. And as soon as he gets there, which no surprise, he is met with a bigot who won't salute him. And I loved seeing James Remar. I did not know he was cast, I guess, as Leroy's boss. I guess he is.
Who's James? Who is
James
he?
Remar?
Yeah.
He played Dexter's dad.
Oh, okay.
Dexter. Oh, you don't watch Dexter. That's
No.
right. That's why Mandy left me for so many months.
Yeah.
We learn there's a secret project going on. And if you know the story, I guess they're leading that to be the extraterrestrial aspect of it when it came to Earth, I'm guessing.
Maybe. Yeah, we really don't know, honestly, because it in the books came thousands of years ago.
Right.
So, like, maybe they
discovered something.
That's part of the mystery of it. But what I think that we're going to discover, and this is just a guess going forward, is one of the things that again I liked about the source material is it speaks to how dangerous it can be just to be an outsider in society. And the people in the novel that are the outsiders, like the gay couple that get assaulted at the beginning, Mike's family, Bev, they're not part of why they are resistant to it and not as easily manipulated is because they are not shocked that evil like that exists in the world.
Yep.
They are not turning a blind eye and just pretending that everything is normal and letting it grow, because they have already experienced how awful humanity can be. So they don't really have a hard time believing that this horrible evil is out there. So I think that's what we're going to see. And I love that. I love that they're bringing more of that, and that they've got Dick Halloran, who I think was the other black man that was in the Jeep with them that was driving.
That's who that was, right? Because
I
he's
believe
from
so.
The Shining.
He is from The Shining. I'm so happy that they brought that character into this timeline because I love that character and I hated the way that he went out in The Shining. And I think that it's going to tie in nicely to this idea of being othered.
Speaking of not othered, but Easter eggs, I just thought of the turtle. Did you notice the turtle dressed which is big in the book? But I do want to say we've talked a lot about the book in the previous movies. If you're listening to this, if you watched It Welcome to Derry episode 1 and know nothing about the lore and the previous stuff, I still think you would enjoy this series if you kept going.
Oh, sure. I
think they're going to tell enough and drop enough that you could enjoy this without knowing anything else about the story.
I agree. I think it's a good idea though. If you are a reader at all, or even if you listen to books on tape or CD or whatever we're called streaming, you should do yourself a favor and do it because I think it's one of Stephen King's better novels.
It was well done. I hate to say it. There was a lot of it that made me nervous, that got my anxiety up, but I was expecting like a gore full of just blatant gore and horror, but I was pleasantly surprised at the story and how I immediately felt for these kids, Hanlon, and I am so grateful I listened to the book before I watched because now I cannot wait to see
how it's all going to
play out. I no longer hate you for making me watch yet. There's going to be an episode that's going to make me throw myself out the window, but we'll see.
If the flying baby mutant didn't do that, I feel like I'm safe. Or if Phil's face getting splattered against the window of the movie theater didn't do that, then I feel like we're going to be okay.
I think we might. Until the clown shows up. Yeah. Let's get into the real fear of it.
Yeah. I've never understood the phobia. I don't like them. Like, they are creepy,
it's
just inherently
face,
creepy.
But I could watch Bozo the Clown. I watched a lot of Bozo and Cookie.
I find him much scarier than the new Pennywise.
But it's something, I don't know if it was, I don't have any memory of it, but something happened between my late single digits into my early double digits that the sight of a clown just started freaking me out.
That is crazy. Well, that is about when It came out.
Maybe that's about when I never even watched it.
But maybe it was just seen on TV.
Or maybe I did watch it and blocked it out.
Yeah, I don't know. Or maybe Pennywise got you and you were stuck in a sewer somewhere and this is all just a dream.
I did used to have this reoccurring nightmare. My room back in the house I grew up in, the accordion closet doors.
Yeah.
I had this dream. I would be asleep and then I would wake and the closet doors would slowly open and it was like a haunted house ride. And I would be in like a car.
One of the little cars?
Yeah. And all these scary things are happening around me, but I couldn't move and I couldn't speak and I couldn't close my eyes. And I had this dream over and over and over again.
You know what I bet it was? Did you watch Poltergeist?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's probably what. Do you remember the clown?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You are right. That's what did it.
That's where it gave a lot of people of our generation phobias about clown well before It came out.
Well, I'm not going to lie. I slept with the light on well into my mid-20s.
Ava still does, my daughter. She probably doesn't appreciate me sharing that. Sorry, Ava. No, everybody knows.
So, yeah. Anyway, yeah. I don't know if there's anything else you want to... I had a little clowning around segment, but I think we covered it with the baby, two-headed baby being slung around by the umbilical cord.
Oh.
Pointy bra.
That's funny. No, I feel like there was something else I wanted to say about just the general plot of the show, which was I wanted to talk about was that Major Hanlon was an optimist, because I feel like of all of the people that had a reason to not be optimistic, he was a black man trying to make it in the very early integrated Air Force of anybody would be the least likely to be an optimist. And I also think he's going to make it through because I think he was in it, or at least his grandfather was mentioned, but he may have actually been in it. And we definitely know that his son lives because he becomes Mike's father down the road. And I don't think that the two things are unconnected. I think
No, there's a lot of story. There's a lot of history that comes
right
from Hanlon.
I think that the fact that he self-identifies as an optimist, and Mike Hanlon himself was the memory keeper that was the one that was strong enough to stay in town and keep the record, was also the most optimistic character.
Yeah.
In that, I think that I liked that little detail, and I wanted to make sure that we got that in there in this discussion. That there was a lot of bitching online about the writing, and I think they're much smarter than people are giving them credit for. And like you said, especially if you're somebody who knows the lore and you see these little Easter eggs, I feel like as this season goes on, we're going to see more and more and more of those, and I feel very good about where they're going.
I agree. I think each episode is going to get better. We'll get a little more into it when we get into show notes and news, but I did see one review where a lot of the major critics got 5 episodes all at once, and they said to be patient. It's going to get you there. So I was like, okay, all right, I can do that.
Did you watch any of the Fargo TV series?
Oh, yeah, all of them.
It reminds me of Fargo. That's the vibe that I was getting was Fargo, because you remember in almost every season of Fargo, there's like this weird, first of all, there's a lot of humor. I felt like the lighting was very similar. The vibe was very similar. But in almost every series, maybe in all of them, there is some weird little supernatural thing that is thrown in, almost like an aside. And that feels very much like what's going on here is that like the thrust of the story is mostly about the human character, the human evil or the human greed or whatever that's driving the human condition that is driving all of this. But then you also have just these glimmers of the supernatural that come through. So I feel like these writers are very skilled. They know what they're doing. That's why I think that the flying baby monkey whatever thing was
on purpose.
I think they wanted it to be slightly comical to kind of draw you in, because that's what creepy clowns do, is draw you in until it's too late, which is exactly what they did here. They were like, oh, look, Phil the funny guy and his little nebbish little friend here, and you've got the pretty girl and all that, and then boom, they're all dead. Like, I trust them. I trust where they're going with
that.
This.
Was bold. That was a bold move. And I sat there I love a TV show that when it ends, I'm still looking at the screen.
Yes.
And that's how I was at the end of this. Cause I was like, okay, there's a lot to unpack here. There's a lot to think about. And dang, they just did that.
They sure did. That was Becky and I try really hard not to talk about what's going to happen. We texted it. It was just, damn.
Yeah, she said, damn. And I was like, that was intense. But actually, it was a typo and it was intense.
Yeah. Becky gets in the sauce late at night. That's why I say I trust these writers, because you're mourning these characters. Initially, your response is that you're horrified that these kids that you've come to care about in this very short period of time, like they've given you a lot in an hour, or how long was it? An hour, 40 minutes?
I think this one was like an hour and 8 minutes.
Yeah. And in that short period of time, you already know so much about their lives. You care what happens to these people, and then they're gone.
But none of it, and where they could have really gone wrong, and I don't know how they did it. I don't know if it was the acting, the writing, all of it combined, but shoving that much in your face at one time in one episode didn't feel like it was too much at all.
No, not at all. You didn't feel like it was exposition. I mean, yes, exposition, but you didn't feel like it was overload. Like you said, you just felt like this was like natural character development.
It was natural progression. Okay. It was great.
Yeah. Yeah, and they got you to really care about these kids, and then they just yoink, pulled that out.
They just let you holding a hand.
Right. A severed, bleeding hand. and I know you're going to get into this, so I don't want to get too far down the road, but I think that that is a very deliberate choice because I think the overarching theme is going to be what was discussed in the It movies, that the Losers Club were just the last of the kids
Mm-hmm.
to be destroyed by this thing. And it's easy to say that in a plot, but this is forcing you to actually go back and care about these kids that were
All
just as
these kids that
funny,
were lost
just as
before.
cool,
Yes. Well
just as
said.
interesting. They were just as fascinating as the first, the final Losers Club, and they all died. Want to spoil anything for you, but I looked at the
Don't
number
say
of
it.
episodes. I'm not saying nothing. I'm just saying they're going Game of Thrones all through this bitch. They're going. Don't fall in love with anybody. That's all I'm going to say.
But
Is
that
just
makes sense to me because that's like when Hanlon is going through the history of
yeah,
Derry and
yeah,
naming these kids. That's what it's
yeah,
like. Okay, well,
yes,
this one disappeared here. This one has gone here. That is
yeah,
what living in Derry during these It reigns was like. So I'm okay with it. I'm not
yeah. I
okay. I'm
love
sorry.
it.
I'm
I
not
love
okay with the death of. I'm okay with fictional
pretend. It
pretend
doesn't
stuff.
pretend
Let
children.
me.
No, but I love that. I love that that's exactly what they're doing is they're forcing it in your face to see that, yeah, it's all well and good that that was a plot point in the movie, but now we're going to make you
You're
see.
gonna have to see it all, how it all went down.
Right. Yeah. So thumbs up for me.
Same. You big fat yay. Loved it.
5 beeping clown noses.
I say 4.5 two-headed babies,
Yeah,
severed
let's give
hands
it
out of 5.
let's give it another severed head to grow.
Yeah.
To grow
They can't be perfect right out of the gate. Okay.
on.
All right. Well, let's move into show notes and news. So I saw briefly in my scrolling, and I saw a little quick note about there being more seasons planned, but I didn't have time to stop and read it. So I Googled before we jumped on here, and this is what I found, and this is AI, so take it for what it's worth. But so the new series, It Welcome to Derry, has a 3-season plan, with each season being set in a different time period, starting with the first season, which we are in right now, in 1962, the second in 1935, and the third in 1908. So the show's creators, Andy and Barbara Muschietti, have stated this plan is based on the 3 critical cycles of Pennywise mentioned in the book. And they plan to go in a non-linear order, which I think is interesting, moving
Yeah.
backwards in time, starting with where we are and ending where it originally began in 1908. So curious to see. Hopefully the ratings are good enough that they get picked up for these 3, because I'd really like to see them go backwards. That's
I
no,
hope
it's
so.
not normal, and I'm very, very curious about that.
Yeah, because again, just based off of how bonkers this whole thing was in the very best way, I trust them.
Yeah.
So I'm very interested. I really hope that because I'd love. First of all, I love anything historical. So like, I'm digging the vibe of the '60s. I'll definitely love
Yeah.
like the Depression era, and I'll definitely love the
The
turn of
turn
the
of the
century.
century. Heck yeah.
Yeah. So I'm excited about that. So the Rotten Tomato score for episode 1 was 76% on the tomato meter, 81% on the popcorn meter. I don't follow Rotten Tomatoes, so I don't really know what any of
I
that
don't know
means.
either, but it seemed very important when I Googled the show. So there you have it.
I
I
just
think the
haven't.
popcorn meter is like the audience,
Gotcha.
and I think the tomato meter might be like the critic score. I think listeners, let me know. Explain this to
Yeah,
us. If
y'all
we're going to continue to talk about it, please tell us what we're talking about.
gonna
I'm
say from
excited
everything I
about
know,
that.
that seems like it's a pretty high score.
Yeah,
So hopefully they're not
it'll
gonna
keep
because
growing.
they have ruined people's premieres
Yeah,
in the past by preemptively just deciding they don't like something before they even watch it. So that is good news for the show. It received mixed reviews from the critics who've seen the first 5 episodes, as Becky mentioned, but most say it's worth watching. So
that made me happy. Very few were like harsh. Most everybody was like us. There was some moments, but overall, most of the critics are looking at the overall
Yeah.
story,
Yeah.
and they really seemed into it. So I'm excited.
Yeah, me too.
All right, well, we did get some feedback. I think this is the first time that we've covered a show where we got feedback for the first episode.
It is.
So
And it's one of my favorites.
yeah. So via our What's On Tonight Facebook page, our sweet, lovely, loyal listener, Erica Land, hey girl, hey, wrote, "What a whirlwind of a premiere. The entire episode, I was trying to connect which one of these kids were the parents of our 1980s group from the newer two It films. Then, the majority of them are gone by the end. I still have a theory, though. Stanley Uris may be Teddy's older brother's son." Okay. Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. Being the older brother, he took up the mantle of being rabbi like their father. The actress who plays Ronnie looks like a young Regina Hall. She really does.
Yeah. Yeah. She's a real cutie.
Erica, great to hear from you. Please keep the feedback coming. And if you want to do an episode with us, let me know.
We got a couple of voicemails, and the first up is going to be from our good friend Sam, who will be joining us next week for episode 2. Here's what she had to say.
Hi, guys. Oof. Welcome back to Derry, indeed. Wow. Just in case you forgot what Stephen King's It is all about, this episode reminded you real fast.
Yes.
Healthy dose of racism, sexism, children being part of the intergenerational trauma cycle. Oh, and yes, and child murder. So we're back to Derry. Yeah, I don't know which is worse. Derry's A++ parenting or just the murderous creatures running around.
It's the parenting that's scarier.
And dang, do those parenting styles really suck. Except for Ronnie's dad. I want to see more of him. He seems delightful. I could have done without that opening. That was a little gruesome, even for me. Hit a little too close to home to this pregnant woman.
Oh, that's right.
Ew. It's like she has a flying mutant baby.
It does feel like I'm carrying a demonic flying child, though.
Yeah.
I wasn't that impressed with this episode, and I think I didn't think anything of the series about it because they need to have a setup episode. They have to get us attached to these characters, and it is going to be kind of boring. Until the end, where they flipped everything on its head and killed most of the characters that we got to know. Whoa,
Yep.
What a choice, and I'm impressed. So I am interested to see where all this goes. I didn't see the military storyline coming in. I'm fascinated. To my recollection, we haven't had that. So I'm interested to see where that all goes and how that fits in. So yeah, I'm interested to see this. I do hope they start to bring Pennywise in sooner rather than later. It's called It, Welcome to Derry, and I get it. You can't have all these episodes of Pennywise. It's just he's the main pull. So I think people, myself included, are going to get a little antsy if we don't see him sooner rather than later. Even if it's a flashback, even if it's them looking into the history of the town, which is going to be probably a part of this. I am interested to see how this all plays out because we know they're never going to believe the kids about what happened in that theater. So I can't wait to hear what you ladies have to say.
Thank you, Sam. And I did not even think about you carrying your little Gollum. That's what she's calling her baby right now from Lord of the Rings is Gollum. Congratulations.
Congratulations. I do identify with feeling like you're pregnant with a demon baby. It definitely as it progresses on. I want to say something, though, before we move on, because this was what I was trying to remember earlier, Becky, is that I may be in the minority, but I don't really care that I actually kind of like that we haven't seen Pennywise yet.
I said that in the beginning. Yeah, same. I thought it was bold not to show Pennywise's face, the clown form of Pennywise at all.
Because it's not really just about the clown, and that's what you need to understand is that Pennywise, the clown, is just one of many, many, many horrifying
forms,
costumes that he puts on. And I think that choice not to have him in there, and also, I'm going to be real honest, I am not at all scared of the CGI Bill Skarsgård version of Pennywise. I don't find him frightening at all. Tim Curry, still to this day, cheesy graphics compared to modern
He's
standards
scary.
aside, Tim Curry is a terrifying Pennywise because, as she so eloquently pointed out, that a lot of the horror in it is about the vulnerability of children being raised on the margins by shitty parents. And I thought that the Bill Skarsgård Pennywise did not look like anything that a child would ever even approach. It just looks too uncanny. The terrifying thing about Tim Curry's Pennywise was that he did have this goofy, kind of dorky man, but you'd probably go over and grab a balloon from him until you get too close, and then you see the cold, dead, but still human like eyes. You lose some of that, in my opinion, with this newer version of Pennywise. But I understand, which I think that we were in the minority with being okay with this. I did see a lot of people annoyed that Pennywise wasn't in the first episode.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Sam, for calling in. And it's her birthday today. So,
Happy
of course,
birthday!
by the time this airs, your birthday will have passed. But for Mandy and I to you, we're going to sing the Charlie's, the restaurant we used to work for, their birthday song. You ready?
Oh, I'm ready. 1, 2, 3.
Happy birthday. We're really glad you came. Happy birthday from our Charlie's gang. We really are excited. We hope you are impressed. So happy birthday to our Charlie's guest. Hey!
We have
That
such great rhythm.
All our listeners.
We have such great rhythm, Becky. I don't know why
I think
haven't
I was
taken this.
keeping time rather well.
Well, I'm not going to debate that. I've already said in our episode, the last recording we did with Taj, that I had to quit Zumba because I have no rhythm. So
yeah,
we'll just blame that on me.
There you go. Happy birthday, Sam. Well, next
it's my dog's birthday.
What?
It's my dog's birthday. Sam.
Which one? You got 40.
Derby.
Happy birthday, Derby, to you as well. I'm not singing again, though. Next up is a voicemail from our fearless leader, Marky Mark. And here are his thoughts on the pilot.
Hey, Becky and Mandy, it's Mark. I just wanted to leave some feedback on.
Thank you.
Welcome to Derry, the first episode, which was, wow, that was intense.
That's exactly what I said.
Interesting time. I haven't dived back into it in a long time. I read the book initially, and I watched the actual movies. I read the book when it came out when I was in high school, but the movie was a little bit different. The two movies that came out, but with this, they go even further into detail, and there was like really key scenes that I really liked. The kids' little hideaway. I loved how they came together, how they were able to find the girl in the movie theater that witnessed Maddie and all that, and what had happened after was poof, wow, very intense. That demonic baby looked like a cherub on acid from a Salvador Dali painting.
Well, that's great.
And oh my god, it was like it had jump scares galore. We didn't really get most of Pennywise, but you could feel the element there.
Yeah.
But I did like the idea that it's slowly grasping us in, and this being a different era at the time. So in comparison to the actual movies that we got before, I think it was Machete who actually did the films.
Oh, is that how you pronounce it?
Sorry, it was pretty cool. You know, it was a pretty cool premise and an idea. It makes you feel for the kids, their investigative thing for Maddie and how he's stuck, and that whole end scene with the movie theater and everything, and watching that particular movie was very genius. But yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I intend on watching episodes as they come out. I look forward to hearing what your thoughts, and you're probably going to go thoroughly into it, character by character, and what they can offer, and
Well, they're all
what
dead.
might happen to them. So I look forward to what you guys have to say. Overall, I was very surprised. I was not really into the idea of watching it at first, and then I was like, you know what, gotta do it. So I look forward to hearing what you guys have to say about this episode, and I will continue to listen further. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye
Thanks,
bye.
Mark.
Thank you, Mark. I heart you. And he probably will be coming on to do an episode with us at some point in the season. So excited
Cool.
about that. And
Hey, one of the things he brought up was just, and when we were talking about how you can feel Pennywise's vibe,
Yeah,
like rising,
he's there.
one of the things I want to mention is that I tried really hard to read the graffiti that was on the bathroom stall when Marge and Lily were in the bathroom.
Oh, I didn't even notice it.
Yeah, there was a bunch of graffiti on the wall and I couldn't read most of it. I tried taking a picture on my phone. I tried getting really close to my screen. But the one Easter egg I was able to catch is that there is this bunny head that somebody has drawn, and it's definitely Pennywise because it's got like the little rat teeth that's right there on the wall. And also, like Maddie, when he was morphing on the screen, his teeth started to get that little rat.
Oh,
So just two more little Easter eggs I caught.
Nice.
All right. Thank you all so much for the feedback. We appreciate you guys so, so much. It never goes taken for granted that you take your time to do that for us.
Yeah.
It means a lot. It helps.
It means so much. It does. It gives us a drive to keep going and doing what we do.
Yeah.
And if you would like to leave us some feedback or just say hi, you can email or send us a voice message as an attachment to what's on tonight and the number 2 at gmail.com.
Or you can visit our Facebook page where there will be a post for the next episode, and you can leave us feedback in the comment section or send us a message through Facebook Messenger. We can be found on Instagram as well at What's On Tonight Podcast and the number 2.
We would greatly appreciate it if you leave a comment, like, and or share on your podcast listening app of choice. So let's take a ride with the creepiest family in Derry and their 2-headed baby and share where listeners can hear us, podcast recommendations, TV suggestions, or anything else you'd like to share. Mandy has some exciting news.
Well, I just released a new episode of What's On Tonight. Excuse me, not What's On Tonight. A new episode of Dinner for Her, my podcast about historical women with flavor, where me and a guest every episode sit down and talk about a woman from history that they admire. And we have a meal in her honor that could be based on her life or something that was relevant to her culture. And for spooky season, because I love, love, love Halloween, it is the greatest time of year for me. We chose Mary Wollstonecraft Shelley, who was the authoress of Frankenstein. If I do say so myself, I think this was a really, really good episode. That woman, what she endured, and it's really amazing. Her story is actually the story of about 5 different incredibly intelligent, talented, driven women who had their lives just absolutely wrecked by some of the shittiest men in history, who then went on to great fame and acclaim and success, even after they died. So yeah, take a listen. I would appreciate you guys checking that out, and hope you enjoy it as much as I enjoyed it. Have you liked it?
I've loved it so far. Yeah,
Good.
Calling her Mary Jr.
Because her mom was Mary. Yeah, was Mary as well. There was a whole lot of Marys in that story. It was the best way we could work around.
That was very cute.
Yeah.
So I'm enjoying it so far. So yeah, y'all please check that out. And you can find the link to Mandy's Dinner for Her podcast in our show notes.
Thanks, Becky. I do want to also take a moment to mention that I'm getting ready to start back volunteering with Launchpad Nashville, which is a charity that provides street-free housing and food and clothing and essentials, necessities to kids between the ages of 18 and 25 here in Nashville. It is the only street free housing charity that is LGBTQIA affirming, which is different than just being accepting, meaning that there are a lot of charities that will bring you in as long as you just don't talk about or be open about the fact that you are on that spectrum. But Launchpad makes you feel safe and welcome. And in the time that we're in, when there are so many people that are getting ready to face massive food insecurity and potentially join the ranks of the homeless. This more than ever, if you have any availability to go to the Launchpad Nashville website, you can find the link to their Amazon page there. They are calling for food donations to help equip these kids. That they feed them when they're there, but they also try to provide them with non-perishables that they can take with them. And like I said, clean socks, clean underwear. You can volunteer, gently used clothing, blankets, any of that. I mean, they make it very, very easy for you to help in ways that, all of us are going through it to some degree or another right now. And they make it where almost anyone can help in some way, shape, or form. So I encourage you to please go and check that out. And before I move on from that, I'm going to take this opportunity to point something out to anybody that might be out there listening. There's a lot of talk going on about SNAP benefits, food stamps, assistance from the government, food assistance especially, and who gets those benefits. I just want to take this opportunity to make a couple of points. Number one, the average family in the United States pays about $36 a year, if on total, for SNAP benefits, for these kind of benefits for people that are facing food insecurity. $36 a year. That's it. You pay hundreds and hundreds in subsidies for giant corporations, $36 a year to help your neighbors. And the second point I want to make is that I think that the number is something like 40 to 60% of people receiving these benefits are actually working full time. These are your neighbors. These are, I think, one of the largest demographics of people who are on these benefits are our active duty military who are currently not getting paid. So just be aware of that whenever you are making up your mind about how you feel about what is going on with this government shutdown. Please be aware of those facts before you make judgments about who deserves to be fed in this country.
Well said.
That's it. Off my soapbox.
Amen. All right, well, Still Slaying is going strong with their coverage of Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel, so please check them out. You can find a link to their page in our show notes. And also Mark, who you just heard on our feedback, and Steve just wrapped their coverage of the amazing second season of Peacemaker over on Panels to Pixels. I did not really think I was going to get into the second season, but it was phenomenal. So check them out. You can find the link to their page in our show notes as well. And on TV recommendations, this show surprised me. It's one of those, it's a dreary day. Seldom do I want to get up and do anything, but I was scrolling through Netflix and it was, you might like a show called Boots on Netflix. So I started watching it and was hooked. So it's based on the book, The Pink Marine, One Boy's Journey Through Boot Camp to Manhood, written by Greg Cope. And you brought up the Nashville Launchpad. This is all about a gay man in the military in the 90s when it was don't ask, don't tell. Illegal. No. Before Don't Ask, Don't Tell.
Oh, gotcha.
It was illegal to be gay in the military. And it's not, I was expecting it to be, because it's boot camp and, there's yelling and insults and things like that. There's some things that are hard to listen to, but it's also so freaking heartwarming watching friendships form and people finding themselves and learning to love themselves. I think it was 7 or 8 episodes. It's not long, but if you are wanting something that at the end will leave you feeling lighter about life, I highly recommend it. Again, Boots on Netflix. And I think I'm going to check out the book and hear Greg's story from his own mouth because it's really good. So check it out.
You know who else watched that? Eric
Who?
Walker.
Did he really? What did he think?
He liked it. He told me he didn't think it would hold my attention. So
It
he
may
knows how.
not.
Yeah, he knows how. I don't. You know me. I don't watch a whole lot of TV. I've got the attention span of a gnat. But he said that he really liked it. So
Well,
thumbs
look
up
at me
from
and
both
Eric.
of the two most important people in my life.
Look at us agreeing on something.
Yeah,
Eric and I don't
man.
share any similarities, mainly with sports. But I'm glad.
You guys are like, okay, y'all are like the Losers Club versus the 1960. Like, you got a lot of overlap. You don't root for the same teams.
That's
but
what
you
I
both have the
mean.
obsessive love of sports, and you guys usually have the same kind of taste about movies and stuff like that too.
Shocking.
I know. I know. And of course, you both love me. So
Of course. Well, that's a given. You're my boy, Blue.
you complete me hard.
As always, a big thank you to Mark and Parkour Entertainment for giving us this platform. Please visit the Parkour page. Mark has done a phenomenal job on the website.
Yeah.
You can now go to the website, find our podcast, as well as Adrenaline Cinema, Panels to Pixels, and other projects that Mark's working on. You can click on the link, get to our Facebook pages. He's done such a great job. So
It looks great.
It does. I'm so proud of him. So please check out Parkour Entertainment.
Well, that wraps up our coverage of episode 1 of It, Welcome to Derry. We will be back next week to discuss episode 2, titled The Thing in the Dark. And I want to stop here for a second and point out, I love a pun. The pilot, the name of the first episode was The Pilot, and it was in fact the pilot, but also about a pilot.
Ba-dum-bum. Nice.
Ba-dum-bum. I dug it.
We want to thank everyone for listening. We make up horrors to help us cope with the real ones. Try not to lose yourself in the real horrors happening in today's world. And Mandy and I both hope you have a very safe and happy Halloween week. I'm Becky.
And I'm still Mandy.
We'll catch you next week when we grab the remote and see what's on tonight. Bye.